Meet Ben. It's 9 p.m. He's just finished a long, exhausting day of work, and he finally collapses onto his couch. He opens his favorite streaming app, hoping to just unwind and turn his brain off for a while. Ben's plan is simple: find a good movie, grab some snacks, and relax. He has subscriptions to 3 different platforms, giving him access to literally thousands of titles at the push of a button. It should be paradise. But as he looks at the screen, there are simply too many options. He scrolls past action blockbusters, romantic comedies, psychological thrillers, and independent foreign films he's never even heard of. He even sees categories for things like 1970s documentaries about obscure bugs, or baking shows hosted by angry British men. The sheer volume of content is staggering, and Ben can't decide where to start. 10 minutes pass. He keeps scrolling down, then right, then left. He adds 5 different movies to his watch list, but he doesn't actually press play on any of them. The perfectionism is starting to kick in. 20 minutes pass. Ben has now watched 5 different trailers, read several reviews on his phone, and debated whether he has the emotional energy for a drama or if he just wants something mindless. 45 minutes pass. He's no longer relaxing, he's actively researching. He feels stressed. Choosing a movie has somehow become a high-stakes task, and he is terrified of picking the wrong one and wasting his evening. Finally, exhausted by the mental effort required just to pick a piece of entertainment, Ben drops the remote. His brain feels fried, and he hasn't even watched a single second of a film yet. He gives up. He completely abandons the idea of watching something new and just puts on that exact same 90s sitcom episode he's already seen 14 times. It feels safe. It requires zero mental effort. Or worse, Ben just turns off the TV and goes to sleep angry, feeling like he completely wasted his precious free time. He had everything at his fingertips, and he chose absolutely nothing. Does Ben's struggle sound familiar to you? If so, don't worry. You are not crazy. Just like Ben, you are simply experiencing one of the most frustrating and universal glitches in human psychology. This phenomenon has a specific name in behavioral science. It is known as the paradox of choice, and it secretly dictates almost every single decision you make in the modern world. Logically speaking, having more freedom and more options should make us happier, right? That is the basic mathematical assumption we all make. More choices equal a higher probability of happiness. If you have 10 doors to choose from instead of just 2, you are mathematically more likely to find exactly what you want behind one of those doors. It makes perfect rational sense. And honestly, that has been the core promise of the modern world for the last century. We have built our entire society around maximizing individual freedom and offering endless variety. Capitalism, the internet, global shipping, and digital marketplaces, they are all designed to give you infinite options, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, delivered right to your door. We are living in an era of unprecedented abundance. We are constantly surrounded by towering mountains of choices, from the moment we wake up until the moment we close our eyes. Want to buy a coffee? Ben can't just order a coffee anymore. He has to choose from 30 different roasts, 5 types of dairy-free milk, 4 cup sizes, and 8 artisanal sugar-free syrups. Need to buy some basic toothpaste? Watch Ben spend 10 minutes in the supermarket aisle choosing between whitening, sensitive enamel repair, fluoride-free, or some new activated charcoal formula. But right when we reached the peak of this consumer paradise, psychology stepped in to ruin the party. It turns out our brains were not built to process this level of abundance. Psychologist Barry Schwartz popularized the groundbreaking idea that while some choice is good, too many choices actually paralyze us and make us deeply dissatisfied with our lives. Let me prove it to you with one of the most famous experiments in modern psychology. Imagine for a moment that Ben wants to buy some nice fruit jam for his morning toast. In a famous study conducted in the year 2000, a team of researchers set up a very professional-looking tasting booth in an upscale grocery store to see how people behave when shopping. On the first day of the experiment, they offered a massive display. They put out 24 different exotic flavors of jam. It was an absolute explosion of choice and variety. The display worked beautifully to attract attention. People were fascinated. They stopped their shopping carts, they tasted multiple samples, and they chatted excitedly with the researchers. But here is the wild part. When it came time to actually open their wallets and buy a jar of the jam they just tasted, their brains completely short-circuited. Out of all the people who stopped at that massive 24 jam display, only a pathetic 3% actually made a purchase. The vast majority walked away empty-handed, unable to decide. On the second day, the researchers changed the rules of the game. They wanted to see what would happen if they aggressively restricted the shopper's freedom. They reduced the options dramatically, offering only 6 flavors of jam on the table. It looked less impressive, and slightly fewer people stopped to check it out. But the final result was absolutely mind-blowing. Nearly 30% of the people who stopped at the smaller table bought a jar of jam. By offering fewer options, they sold exactly 10 times more jam. Taking away choices actually made the customers more decisive and more willing to spend their money. So, why are human beings this irrational? Why does having more options make us perform so terribly? Well, it all comes down to 3 major cognitive glitches. These glitches are hardwired into your neurology, and they trigger a cascade of anxiety every time you open a menu, a streaming app, or a shopping website. The first glitch is called opportunity cost. This is a concept borrowed from economics, but it plays a huge role in our everyday psychological well-being. You see, when you choose one thing, you aren't just gaining that item. In your mind, you are actively losing the benefits of all the other unchosen options. If you pick one flavor of jam out of 24, your brain subconsciously feels the pain of rejecting 23 other potentially delicious flavors. The more options you have, the more you feel like you are losing. The second glitch is anticipated regret. We humans are incredibly good at imagining the future, which is great for survival but terrible for buying things. Even before we make a choice, we are already terrified of making the wrong decision. We picture ourselves being disappointed, and that fear paralyzes us. What if the pasta I ordered is too salty and that amazing looking pizza the guy at the next table got is the best thing on the menu? Your brain tortures you with what ifs. This intense anxiety literally freezes us in place. We delay making decisions for as long as possible because as long as we haven't chosen, we haven't made a mistake. And finally, the third and cruelest glitch of all, the escalation of expectations. This is what truly makes modern life feel so miserable sometimes. Imagine a store only sells one single pair of jeans. If Ben buys them and they fit poorly, he just blames the world. The world is imperfect. It's not my fault, he tells himself. But if a store has thousands of styles, cuts, and colors, and he spends an hour picking one and it still isn't absolutely perfect, who does he blame then? Whose fault is it? It's his own fault. With that many options available, perfection must exist somewhere in that store, and he simply failed to find it. You blame yourself for making a bad choice. This means that an abundance of choice actually guarantees that we will feel like failures, even when we make a decent decision. So, how do we hack our own brains to stop living in misery? How can Ben and you navigate a modern world designed to overwhelm us? Psychologists suggest a powerful mental shift. You must train yourself to become a satisficer instead of a maximizer. A maximizer needs to explore every option to find the absolute best. But a satisficer sets a personal standard. The moment Ben finds an option that meets his criteria, he simply takes it. He stops searching immediately. Limiting your own choices deliberately, whether it's deleting apps, cleaning out your closet, or setting time limits, brings back your peace of mind. Because the harsh truth is, in a world where you can literally have anything, the ultimate key to true happiness is learning how to settle for good enough. If you want to understand how your mind works, just ask Ben. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.